All right. Well, you,
Sorry. So since this meeting is recorded, and you're not comfortable with if you're not comfortable having your face shown, feel free to just turn off your video. So yeah, just giving a heads up. But yeah, sorry, go ahead, Kris.
okay, no worries. Thank you guys for coming. The scholarship workshops are something I've been doing for all 7 years that I've been here. I think they really do help you prepare for the process. And, because I oversee the system, it's nicer to get to talk to students individually like this. I like doing the workshops bigger, but anyway, so I'm here to kind of fill you guys in on how this stuff all works. And why won't my thing, I'm not advancing, why not? There we go. Okay, so I represent the PCC Foundation in this scenario today, and we are essentially the main fundraising branch of the college. The foundation's been around a while. Our goal is always to sort of close the gap between needs and resources of PCC. I know I don't have to tell you guys that the cost of education has gone up significantly over the years. I can remember being at a CSU before I took this job, and this is when Prop 20, I think, was on the ballot. And there was this whole toss up between, back in the day, the state provided 85% of the cost of attendance, and the students paid 15, and now it's totally the other way around. So believe me, we know that this is not easy for you guys, and that's one of the reasons why I love doing what I do. But we're a pretty amazing power team of all women who surprisingly all get along. It kind of blows my mind that happens, but everybody here is just so dedicated to their work, and we have a really good time working together. Come on, okay. So what we do as a department is raise money, manage money, and distribute money for the college. The way we fundraise, there's a number of different sort of ways that we take money in. Our annual fund is all unrestricted money. So this is a result of our foundation board members giving and folks just kind of kicking in $10 here, $15 here, whatever. But unrestricted money is what we use as our operational budget. And then endowments come in when people want to give more, like substantially more. So a traditional endowment here would start at about $25,000. We have folks that will start growth funds and pay those off over time. And the endowments are invested, and it's the interest, and there's a spending limit, and that's sort of what creates the scholarship amount every single year. And then planned giving takes place when somebody or a family decide to leave PCC in their estate or put PCC in their will. We don't always know that these are happening sometimes until after they happen. So they're kind of like nice little surprises every now and then. But all of these funds together create what we refer to as our endowment. And I believe PCC now is at like $27 million endowment. So all those funds are shared, if you will, with an investment firm. And we just basically give them control of our money and say, okay, here, go take good care of it and bring us some extra back if you would. So obviously when the market's good, we get more return. When the market's not good, we lose money. That's the way of the world. And we deal with it accordingly. And then we distribute money for the college. We just finished a major gifts campaign. We raised about $16 million for different tenets of the college. We raised money for athletics, for the arts, for career education, and for scholarships. But the bulk of our money sits in endowments that is used for student scholarships, and you guys get to benefit from that. So that's all kinds of fun. What I'm going to talk about with you guys is the actual application itself in Blackbaud Award Management. We'll roll through the timeline really quickly. I'll give you a sense of how financial aid plays a role, although that doesn't necessarily apply to you guys because you're international students. I'll tell you a little bit about how the evaluation process works, and then mostly we're going to talk a lot about references and personal statements, because the personal statement is really the bread and butter of this process. And if you don't do that right, you won't have a successful application. I find it's really interesting year after year when I hear from students about the reasons why they don't apply for scholarships. And frankly, they're all kind of stupid. People blame it on time, not being a good writer, not having a 4.0 GPA. All of this stuff is frankly a bunch of crap. Students do so much amazing work at this college, and for folks to not take, maybe 2 hours to apply for a scholarship just kind of blows my mind. Granted, we can't give scholarships to everybody that applies, but if you do the work and you have a good story to tell, you're likely going to come out on the other side with a little bit of extra money to help pay for school. So got that out of the way. Benefits of scholarships there are many, obviously, besides the cash money itself. There's academic benefits, because this sort of academic award kind of puts you up in a position like, oh, look, I'm a scholarship recipient, and you're always a scholarship recipient. And you can list this stuff on your resumes moving forward, on graduate school applications, all sorts of things. So benefits go a long way besides just, the $500,000, $5,000 that you wind up collecting as a result of the process. Okay, so please do not ever call this BAM, because that makes me crazy. Just call it Blackbaud Award Management. The fact that people are calling this BAM, I just want to shake them and say, oh, please stop, because that makes me nuts. Well, so I refer to it as Blackbaud Award Management. It is the software formerly known as Academic Works. When I started here in April of 2013, we had just contracted with the company called Academic Works. They were a standalone startup, and they were amazing. So we were one of the earlier adopters of this software, and now they consider us to be super users because, we do it well here. The system is a software management or scholarship management software, come on McPeak, that houses the application, the review process, the awarding, and post-acceptance. So it's basically a one-stop shop. Anything having to do with scholarships at PCC, you will find in Blackbaud Award Management. Like I said, we have had it since 2013. So this will be our 8th fall cycle, which kind of blows my mind that I can say that. Yeah, I've worked here longer than I've worked at any other college. So when I say it out loud, I kind of get a little nostalgic. Any money that's held at the foundation, you will find represented in here. But we do have external scholarships that are posted. We will hear from organizations from time to time that will say, hey, we have scholarship info. Will you post it on your site? And of course we say yes, because there's some pretty interesting organizations out there that want to give money to students, and I say, by all means, bring it on. And you can apply for scholarships year-round, but we have 2 set cycles during each fiscal year, and I will talk about that here in just a second. Our dictionary of terms, and I'll refer to these throughout the presentation and when we actually talk about the software one-on-one. A cycle is basically when a group of scholarships are open for application and review. That cycle covers a set period of time. So right now we're in what's known as the fall cycle. This is the general scholarship application. So pretty much everything is an auto match award, which I'll talk about in a second. The spring cycle, and the fall cycle is completely centralized, meaning the foundation controls all of it. The spring cycle is a little bit different. It is decentralized. So departments and divisions that traditionally have scholarships that are allocated to their major programs. So English has money, social sciences has money, math and computer science has money, the President's Latino Advisory Council, they have a pool of money. So the spring scholarships are decentralized. The different departments and divisions kind of oversee their own thing, and I just kind of work with them on an advisory process. Opportunities versus portfolios. So the portfolio in Blackbaud Award Management is the scholarship itself. The opportunity is the specific portfolio application referring to the term that the award is open. So for example, the Robert Westerbeck Scholarship, that is a portfolio, just speaking of the scholarship itself, but then we're in fall 2020. So the fall 2020 opportunity of the Robert Westerbeck Scholarship is when something is open in a specific period of time. Auto match and apply to, these refer to how your information tells you if you qualify for the scholarship or not. So auto match, you can just fill out the general application and the system will automatically match you to anything you qualify for. You might qualify for 5 things, you might qualify for 20 things, just kind of depends on where you are in your academic career. And some people just decide, I'm doing auto match and that's it for fall. I don't have time to do anything else, and that's fine. People do well with auto match. Apply to means that the scholarship requires additional questions or information in order for you to qualify. So you have to specifically apply individually to these after completing the general scholarship application. There's maybe 8 or 9 of those in the fall semester, the Robert Westerbeck being one of them. That's our largest pool of money. It was like a $5 million gift, and it yields close to $200,000 every year. So if you think about $1,000 a scholarship, we're able to award a lot of students with that money. But Westerbeck's an apply to because you need to do letters of reference. Unfortunately, everything in the spring semester is applied to because the departments and divisions kind of run their own thing. And almost all of them want letters of reference. And at the very least, a number of them want your transcripts and possibly resumes too. So that's the difference between auto match and apply to. Post acceptance is what happens after you are offered a scholarship and you accept it. So this is where we gather thank you notes and photos that can be shared with the donors. They like to have testimonials and the donor reports, and then you also have the opportunity to give us feedback about the process. I love hearing that from students because they usually say nice things, and it really is pretty intuitive software, and it just keeps getting more robust every single year, which is kind of fun to work through that. Okay, if you are at your computer and you want to go ahead and kind of follow along, this is the website. It's pasadena.academicworks.com. You can go straight to the software that way. You can find it on our webpage through the foundation. If you go to pasadena.edu/foundation, click on the scholarship tab, but it's just so much easier to go straight there from here. And I type in the letter P, and it's like the first thing that comes up for me because I've been doing this for so long. You will log in with Lancer Point credentials. That was a happy thing that happened in year 3. So we have the single sign-on thing, and this is beautiful for me because it pulls data out of Banner. So I don't have to go in and spot check everybody individually, which was a total pain in my ass for the first year. It's helpful to review the applications kind of before you get moving. And if you are somebody who believes you will want to pursue apply to opportunities, then you kind of want to take a peek at, okay, well, what do I qualify for? Let's take a look around, etc. So it helps to definitely take a breeze through before you start answering questions. So there's 2 kinds of info that are going to come into your application and make it what it is. There's the self-report and the Lancer Point imported. This is what I referred to before, why we have single sign-on. So it pulls your GPA, it pulls all your credits earned and your current enrollment, what you're studying. It's pretty important that this is current because let's say that you're a nursing student, but you're still listed as biology. You're not gonna qualify for any nursing scholarships and the system won't let you apply. So if you are not current with your academic major in Lancer Point, then fix that, please. We pull your EFC and unmet need. I don't know that is applicable for you guys as international students or BOG waiver. It might be, I don't know. And then we like to pull the demographic stuff just because from time to time, institutional research will say, hey, can you give us some scholarship data? So that's the imported stuff. And then you're going to fill out a number of these things. Name and student number, obviously that gets you in the system. We want your phone number. We would like to get your personal email because we hang on to this after you leave PCC, become alum. This is how we continue connecting with you and make you an active alumnus. There are some athletic scholarships that we hold, so we ask that question. Support services, this is things like PASS and EOPS, international student services. If you're in Puente or Ujima, any of those organizations, we ask you about that. And then we ask about marital status and dependent children, because again, there are some scholarships that were designated for those populations. And we ask about transfer destination because we're known as a transfer institution and have a very, very high rate of transfer. We do have scholarships that are unique for students who are planning to transfer. Okay, then we dig into the super, super, super personal stuff that's going to build, you know, the uniqueness of your application. So these are sort of short answer questions about honors and awards, clubs and orgs, and church activities, employment, etc. Honors and awards are fun. This is the best way to describe this is anytime you've been publicly rewarded for having done cool stuff. So that could be as easy as a previous scholarship, or that could be like if you play badminton and you were the player of the month for your region, getting an award like that. I love telling the story about my health award in high school because I went to a very small rural high school in Arkansas, and my high school boyfriend was a valedictorian, and of course he was one of the smartest people I ever knew, but he got every academic award that existed. So we go to our senior year and I'm like, I'm going to take health this year because, you know, I'm interested in health. And he says, well, you know, Kris, it's not a weighted class. It's not going to help your GPA. And I'm kind of like, I don't care. I'm going to take it. So when it came time for award time at the end of our senior year, Kris McPeak got the health award and Torin didn't. But then again, Torin didn't take the health class. So quite possible that if he'd been in that class with me, he still would have beat me out. But I don't care. That's an academic award that I got. And hell yeah, I put it on my scholarship application. Are you kidding me? That was a big deal. I just don't, you know, mention that. He probably would have gotten it if he'd been in the class. Okay, anyway, I digress. Clubs, organizations, campus activities. These are ways that you are involved at PCC when you are not in class, but you are physically doing stuff on campus. So associated students is a big thing. You guys are all here because you're involved with international students and the club form of this, so you would list that on your application. If you play a sport at PCC, any kind of community service stuff that you do with the college, we want to know about that. And then the third section here is church, employment, neighborhood events. This is anything that you do that's organized when you're not at PCC. So good examples, if you have a job, you might work at Target or Starbucks or a grocery store or something like that. We want you to list any employment that you've had, you know, within, I guess, the last 5 years. It depends on how far removed you are from high school. And if you're a student who has worked full-time before coming to college. Some folks are super active in their church. They might, you know, run the daycare center or teach Sunday school class to little kids. Any kind of volunteer opportunity that's within the community. So if you volunteer at Humane Society or food banks or anything like that. A clear delineation I want to make here. We're talking about organized events or organizations. So working at a fitness club is very different from attending a fitness club because you're a workout fiend. So don't write down that like I work out at my gym. That's a hobby. That's not an activity. Or another example would be volunteering at the AFI Film Festival versus attending the AFI Film Festival. So we're looking for ways that you participate in a volunteer and organized way, not your hobbies and things that are fun for you. The high units thing, this is fairly new to the application, mostly because our foundation board feels pretty strongly, and I actually agree with them, that you really should be able to finish up your time here within the 90 units, 3 years kind of thing, whether you're transferring or whether you're completing your program so you can go into the workforce. So what we kind of want to get a sense of is if you're over 90 units, what's going on there? Did you change your major very late in the game? Did you have a very long period away from school and came back and had to start from scratch? Those types of things. So we just kind of want to get a sense about that. And personal statement we will talk about here in just a bit. Okay, so when you go to pasadena.academicworks.com, this is where you will land, and you guys want to log in here on this tab that says applicants and administrators, and you will do the single sign-on and log in with your Lancer Point credentials, which is fantastic and beautiful. And then here is a quick peek at the top page of the application. Now, if this is your first time logging into the system, there's probably going to be like a green banner up here that says it looks like it's your first time logging into the system. Please complete your general application, does blah, 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 all that stuff. So you're gonna scoot down in here and fill out all these questions. Obviously the asterisks are the important things that are required. You have to fill those things out. Now I wanna talk about the bottom part here. So the little gray button versus the red button. Save and keep editing will allow you to do exactly that. Save your work and keep editing later. Finish and submit is the button I would prefer that you hit all the time, even if you think you may make changes later, and I will tell you why. If you stay with save and keep editing, your application itself stays in drafted status. So that means you can't move forward and apply for apply to opportunities. You can't list anybody for a reference because your application's not done yet. So even if you think you're gonna tweak stuff later, stay with the finish and submit thing because that keeps you in submitted status. It tells the system that, you know, you've got your stuff done. Obviously, if you leave asterisk questions blank, it's going to tell you you have to fill these out before you submit. But I think it's just a safer way to keep your application moving forward. Because if you keep hitting save and keep editing, inevitably some people forget about this and they don't match to anything because they technically didn't finish. So make sure that you always hit the red stuff. Okay, so you're done with your general application and now it's going to pop you in here and it's going to say almost done because your previous applications qualified you to apply to additional stuff. And that's what more of this red stuff. So if you actually hover over this word opportunities, there's going to be 4 different things that show up there. It's going to be the word hours, O-U-R-S. There's going to be the word recommended. Recommended and hours are essentially the same thing. Recommended are the apply to opportunities that you qualify for. If you click on hours, you can see everything that's in the system. If it's an auto match, it won't give you the opportunity to apply to it because you don't have to. But if they don't show up on the recommended opportunities for you, it's because the system has noticed that there's something missing from your application that would qualify you. So I would, you know, take a look at what all is there, obviously, but this will be the stuff that you can actually are recommended to apply to because you qualify for it. There's also something called grants, which I don't know why that's in there because we don't use it. But then remember those external awards I told you about before, like the other organizations that contact us, that's where you'll find all the external stuff. So you hover over this and get the drop down and external will be at the bottom. And there's all kinds of fun stuff. There was like a paleo lifestyle scholarship one year. There was a scholarship about why you love dogs. There's some pretty fun things in there. So give it a peek, even if it's just, you know, for fun and to play around. So, okay, so the hour opportunities, if you selected that section, this is what you would see. Again, these things, they say none because they're not applied to, they're auto match, but you can get a sense of, see, red buttons mean, okay, I'm gonna go in and try to apply for this. Again, you have to finish the general application before you can get to this piece. And then when you are in an apply to opportunity, this is the Dorvin and Betty Lee's Family Fund. You'll see the supplemental questions and they might be just one question, like this one just wants to know what sports teams you compete in at PCC. If you don't compete in any sports, you won't apply for this award. But there's other things like submit a transcript. There's additional writing that is requested sometimes, letters of recommendation, all kinds of stuff pop in there. So yeah, and there's all kinds of different things that are asked. Again, important with the gray bar and the red button, hit the red button and keep yourself in submitted status, and better to be safe than sorry is what I say. So obviously want to get you guys rolling pretty quick because the due date is October 9th. And I think now we're at like 2 weeks away from that, which again, blows my mind. How is this semester going by so fast? Virtual scholarships, workshops happening now. This 11:59 p.m. deadline, I didn't make that up. That's just the way the system works. So the whole, like if it's 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, October 10th, You're not going to be able to get back in. People turn into pumpkins and the whole thing. This does include your reference letters. So if you have requested a letter of recommendation from someone for an apply to opportunity, they need to have their letters in the same time. I tried a buffer week one year and it just did not serve my process well. So I said never again. Then on Monday the 12th through Friday the 23rd, we do the review period where all of the people I've recruited to help us read and score these, they do their work. And then my committee will meet, I think the 26th is a Monday. We'll meet on Monday and make all the selections and choices. I've never done this virtually before, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge, but you know what? We make it work because that's what we do. And then you guys will be notified what's going down by November the 2nd, which is it's a Monday. Okay, so I gave myself an extra weekend to get stuff done. Good for me. That was very wise of me. Okay, this is our current rubric that exists right now. There is a high probability that this is going to change a smidge between now and review time, only because this is the same rubric that the committee's been using for like the past 4 or 5 years. And I definitely think they want to mix it up, particularly related to the GPA piece, because GPA is still a high portion of the scoring, and that's great, except when it's not. Because in our current environment, a lot of people work 2 jobs, have to take care of parents or their family members, and a 4.0 is not necessarily, not that it's not attainable, it's not realistic. And we know that our students do a lot of stuff in addition to going to school. So there's definitely been conversation on making this a little bit different. Obviously a 4.0 is still a great thing to have, and grade point average is considered, you know, a factor in academic achievement, but this would be the thing that gets tweaked the most. And the other thing that we're working on is for true freshmen who are just out of high school. They don't pull your high school GPA. We don't do that. All of our transcripts are individually evaluated by the registrar's office. So if you're a first-time freshman just out of high school, you're not going to have a GPA score, and that kind of sucks for the first-year students. So this will be one major thing that changes. I believe it will change. Personal statement will get up to 25 points or thereabout. That's the biggest portion. That's the big part of the kitty, if you will. We're looking at statements that are giving strong examples of career aspirations and how you've overcome adversity, faced your challenges. We want very high levels of persuasion, authenticity, and credibility. So we want a statement that feels exciting, that feels impressive. We want a statement that tells your story and elicits some kind of emotional response from our committee. We want a statement that moves us, that makes us go, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing student on the planet. Of course they need scholarship money. We are looking for that kind of reaction. And, you know, some people are kind of like, well, I don't really have a good story to tell. I didn't, you know, it didn't have any hardships, whatnot. And that's not true. Everybody has a story to tell. And again, we'll talk about that more in the personal statement section. And if you think you're a bad writer, talk to somebody at the Writing Center and get some tips on that. We're not looking for the next Stephen King novel here. We just want a nice, relatable story that talks about, you know, what you plan to do on this world when you're done at PCC. Honors awards, extracurricular activities, service employment have traditionally received up to 5 points each. So you'll get high points in this area when you list 2 to 3 things. Don't let that part stress you out. And we're looking at quality over quantity. So the traditional first-year student that lists every single club they were ever in their life but writes nothing else about it is not going to be as well reviewed as somebody who maybe only did 2 or 3 things, but they describe those activities in detail and they explain what the organization did and what their role was in it, that kind of stuff. I need to take this out because the 90 units or more has no bearing in the rubric. But we do look at it and we do talk about it, but it's not a point getter in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so did I switch these slides? I think I should. Okay, no worries. After we do the reviewing and students are selected to receive scholarships, I will send out 2 types of emails. I hate the way that I hate the names I've given these emails, but I really don't know what else to call them. The first one is the finalist email, and you'll get this email if you are receiving a scholarship, and you get all the details about the ceremony, all the prerequisite things you have to do before the ceremony. If you get the finalist email, congrats, you're getting money. Haha, you do not know which scholarship you're getting or how much it is for. We keep that a secret so we can get your butts to the ceremony, because donors are there and they want to hang out with you. Ceremony attendance is mandatory unless like your sister's getting married and you have to go to Philadelphia or something like that. And then the second kind of email, and it's not the declined email. There's just no other way of calling it anything. I hate that name. So it's important to note that just applying for a scholarship doesn't guarantee that you're getting one. So this email basically just says, thank you so much for applying and pursuing scholarships at PCC. It was a highly competitive process. You weren't selected this go around, but here's 5 things that you can do to improve your statement for next time. And I always do a round of like one-on-one help with people after this process. And we do that during the winter intercession. Folks can make one-on-one appointments with me, and I'll look at your application and I'll say like, well, these are some things you might want to beef up moving forward. In spite of the fact that I'm a reviewer, I do review people's statements in the immediate here and now. So if you would like me to take a peek at your statement, you can email that to me, and my email will be in the latter part of these slides. And I also have, well, I'll tell you about that later. Okay, so yeah, ceremony, Friday, December 4th. This is, ideally we want everybody there, unless, like I said, your sister's getting married or you have to go to Philadelphia, something like that. And that's where you find out what scholarship you are receiving. After watching the Emmys on Sunday night, I'm feeling a lot better now about a virtual ceremony, because they had some really nice production elements that I think if we, mimic some of that, it'll be really fun. And then after you're notified that you're a recipient, you're going to go back into Blackbaud Award Management and do that post-acceptance that we talked about earlier. So you'll write your thank you letter, throw in your photo, do a testimonial, provide feedback, et cetera, and we award the funding through the Lancer Point system. So even though you're not going to physically be at a ceremony, you won't get a check at the ceremony. You're awarded like you get any other financial aid, and that's through the Lancer Point system via this new Bank Mobile thing that I think this is the 3rd year we've been doing it. If you owe money to the college, the scholarship will offset that. So let's say you got a $1,000 scholarship, but you still owe PCC $200. That balance is covered. You get a reimbursement of $800. Everybody's happy that way. PCC's happy because you paid your bill, and you're happy because, you get that a little bit money back, hopefully, and you don't have to worry about, oh shit, when am I going to pay for my classes because I'm not working or whatever. Okay. I'm going to talk about the financial aid thing anyway, even though I'm not sure it's applicable to this group, so we'll just kind of breeze through that. But the FAFSA's out there, that free application for federal student aid. When you apply to PCC and you designate your major, financial aid puts together what's called an educational budget. That's your cost of attendance. And the beautiful federal government will then determine from your FAFSA what your estimated family contribution is. It's a crazy formula. I don't even pretend to understand because sometimes I think it's a bunch of crap. But your educational budget minus the EFC is considered your unmet need. And if you receive federal funding, you can't be over awarded. That's a Title IV thing. But the good news for you guys is you don't do a FAFSA. Most of you don't get an EFC, so you can get as many friggin' scholarships as you can. Kevin has a question.
Actually, not every student here is an international student. I have some domestic here as well.
Well, alrighty then it's good that we went over this briefly. So if you are a domestic student, you get federal funding. So you get work study, you get a Pell Grant, anything like that. That unmet need is pretty crucial because, again, we can't award you more financial aid or scholarships to exceed that. So if your unmet need boils down to $5,000, that's the limit of scholarship funding that you can receive. otherwise you have to pay taxes and we get in trouble because there's all these regulations and whatnot. The disbursement period, it's three more steps than I would like for it to be, but the more that this is explained to me, the more that I get it. So that whole, if you owe the college $200, a scholarship offsets that. That, believe it or not, is one of the physical steps. And it's a difference between financial aid and fiscal services. They have to talk to each other over this stuff. So financial aid will run a disbursement report first, which goes to fiscal services. Fiscal services do all their magic. Oh, your student account is clear. And then they run what's called a refund report. And then if you're getting any money back, that money is wired to this Bank Mobile organization. And what's Bank Mobile? So we've been partnering with them for the delivering of refunds. This is supposed to make things easier for the college. I don't know if it is or not, but I can only assume that it is. If you're not registered with Bank Mobile, you can go to this refundselection.com and they should send you a code in your email. And if you don't, just go to Student Business Services and they'll hook you up. The two recommended ways of getting your scholarship money is to do it via direct deposit. If you don't have a bank, which it blows my mind how many students don't have bank accounts in this day and age. You can direct deposit to your personal bank account, or you can open a checking account through Bank Mobile. So this would be, one of these options would be what I would recommend. You can select a paper check. Here's the thing with paper checks. They take 10 to 14 days longer for you to have cash in hand. And I'm telling you what, I don't know what it is about checks. They go stale and students forget that they have them. And then they go to cash it 6 months later and they can't cash it. So we have to just rerun it, and that's a pain in the ankle. So yeah, please do the ACH or the vibe checking, and you'll be a happier person, and Kris McPeak will definitely be a happier person. Financial aid disbursements typically run on Thursdays. The fiscal refund will be the following Tuesday, and the wire to Bank Mobile happens on a Friday. So it's about 7 to 10 days for the full process to be completed. If you are doing the direct deposit thing, you'll have that money either on Friday or early the following week. If you pick a check, God be with you, you will get that money within 10 to 14 more days. Okay, references. This is one of Kris McPeak's little pet peeve areas because it blows my mind annually that students do not pay attention to etiquette involved in asking for references. And I'm here to tell you guys, I'm 52 years old and I still ask for references. You are going to ask for them for the rest of your life. So you may as well learn how to do it right now so you can avoid making mistakes later. And what I mean by asking, do not ever assume that somebody is going to give you a reference just because you want them to. You want to let them know what's going on. Hey, I'm applying for scholarships here at PCC. There's a couple that require letters of references. It's been great studying with you for the past 2 years, whatever. So would mean a lot to me if you'd write the letter. That's the kind of conversation we're talking about. In our current scenario, I think an email is fine. I don't know if professors are doing virtual office hours or if you can have a virtual check-in with them after a course, but asking in person is always the best way to go. But I think right now, if you write a very nice professional email, that should be okay. And then you want to explain the process to them. Some professors have got this down by now and they know exactly what to do, and some are totally clueless. So the way this works is when you are filling out a reference request in Blackbaud Award Management, it's just going to say, please list a name and an email address, and you're going to pop that in. And then, when you hit finish and submit, guess what happens? System is triggered to send an email to that faculty staff member saying, Kevin Liu has applied for a financial aid opportunity and was requested that you submit a letter of reference. So if you still hover in that save and keep editing crap, no reference email is going to be triggered, and then you're totally SOL. So that's explaining the process. If they try to give you a paper letter, which again, right now, probably not going to happen. If they try to email you a paper letter, you have to say no, talk to Kris McPeak, because you have no way of uploading that yourself. It's physically impossible for a student applicant to upload a letter of recommendation. I'm so happy to help. I usually try to walk the faculty through the process of how to do this on their own, but probably within the next 2 weeks, I'll probably be uploading a faculty letter on behalf of a student every single day. It just happens. That's the reality that is my life. I have accepted it. So there you go. It's their responsibility to write that letter and get it in, but it's your responsibility to follow up and make sure that they understand what's going down. So after they say, yes, I'd love to write this letter, maybe in a week, if you don't see it, check in, say, hey, Kevin, you said that you would do this letter for me, and I just want to make sure everything's okay because the deadline's coming, etc. Be nice, be professional, be a cool person about that. And we want to avoid the situation where the faculty member calls me and chews my ass out because you waited till the last minute to request them as a reference. And y'all, I'm going to tell you, this happens every single year. Probably a dozen people. I get yelled at a dozen times every single year by folks who don't plan, for folks that don't plan ahead. So do me a favor, make my life easy and plan ahead. I would appreciate that so much. This is kind of what that reference piece is going to look like. So again, that's the letter that's written by the reference and uploaded by them. You should not be given that paper letter, but you can see here, it's not a really good screenshot, but add a new reference. And if you're unsure about an email address, you can click right here and see the faculty directory. So piece of cake. This is not a hard thing to do. Okay, so now we're going to do some writing. Like I said, bread and butter of your application. This is where the rubber meets the road. All of those terrible cliches that I'm going to tell you not to use in your statement. This is a 3-phase process for me, okay? You're going to prepare to write, you're going to write, and then you're going to get your feedback. So it says here, I mix this stuff up every year because I need it to be, otherwise I get so bored doing the presentation. It says here scholarship judges have to read through hundreds of scholarship applications. That's me. That's not so much our scholarship reviewers. I try to keep them at 20 or 25, but still, that's 20 or 25 students. It's a blind process. So we want your application to stand out so it makes an impact on them right away. And this concept of show, don't just tell, is really, really important. And I will give you an example. So I mentioned my small town rural high school of Waldron, Arkansas, population 2,642. My graduating class was 93 people. It was originally 130 people, but that many people dropped out because they got pregnant or they got someone pregnant. So there you go. My English teacher's name was Mr. Millard, and I loved this man. He was the most fascinating English teacher I've ever had in any place, in college, the whole thing. We would do the Shakespeare thing every year. So he would introduce a play into the curriculum, usually in the spring term. We would read it in class and discuss it. But we wouldn't just read it. He would read it with us, and he would take on a character. And he would really take on a character. He would jump on the desk. He would grovel on the floor. He would change his voice. He would wave his arms around. He would run around the room. He would do whatever he needed to do in character to make this interesting for us. And I'm telling you, as a 14 to 15-year-old person who has no idea what iambic pentameter means, like that made this so much more fun for me. And he did it all 4 years of my high school. And that was one of the things, that was the impetus to me going like, shoot, I'm going to study English and education when I go to college because I want to be able to do for students what Mr. Miller did for me. So if you've got an experience like that to talk about, write about that, because that gives you a mental image of this, hick English teacher who did all this Shakespeare fun stuff for his students. And I'm like more than 30 years removed from high school, and I still remember that experience. So that made a huge impact on me. Think about your audience when you're writing. And in this case, the people that are reading your scholarship essays are PCC faculty and staff, foundation board members, and Pasadena community leadership. There's probably nobody under the age of 25 reading your scholarship applications. So keep that in mind. A lot of them are in their 60s and 70s. And so some of the contemporary pop culture related things they may not get. So if you were thinking about quoting Eminem, probably don't want to go there. So after you've done this reflection and you've thought about kind of what path you want to take, we're going to sit down and we're going to write this statement. I would do this on a Word doc, and I'll tell you why in a second. So provide that impressive introduction, that visual, that anecdote. My Mr. Millard story is a perfect example of this. follow the prompt specifically for the essay, and you were able to see a little bit about ours before, you know, write a 500-word statement that expresses your career goals and obstacles and hardships, etc. That's what you're going to write about. The 3 C's I think are pretty cool. Compelling, I've made that argument already. Concrete, we want you to be kind of specific and don't go all over the place with the point you're trying to make. And concise. You have 500 words to do this. So make sure that you are making that point in a way that is going to make it quickly and get your closure. Thinking outside the box, because you are a unique student. You want to tell your story in a way that's different from everybody else. And you'll feel that when you're telling it, when you're writing it, when you're going through this process, because if it doesn't resonate with you, it's probably not going to resonate with us either. So go for that experience. Stay positive and upbeat. Now, I'm going to explain this. And if I were in person, it'd be a lot easier. I don't know if you guys can see me. You can see the screen. So here's the, okay, so here's a student who's here in their point in their career, and they're writing, they said, oh, this really crappy thing happened to me when I was in high school, and it was really hard, and it took me a really long time to get over it, and I'm still kind of sad about it, etc. So we're talking like a straight trajectory here, right? That person has made no significant growth from that experience. So the positive, upbeat student's going to write about, so this scary thing happened to me in high school, and it was really kind of a bummer, but I learned so much about it when I was dealing with it, and I had great family and friends and support, and this is the person that I am now because I had this experience. So now you've got upward trajectory, like the plane taking off, and that's the kind of statement I want you to write. Forget this lateral crap. We're going to go upward and mobile and up and forward. Okie doke. Okay, feedback. Now, you've written this in your Word document. Now I want you to print it, and I want you to go stand in front of the mirror and read it to yourself like you might be delivering a speech. And I know that sounds all hokey and crazy, but you will catch things in your statement by reading it out loud to yourself and hearing it in your ears than you will just sitting there staring at a screen looking at it again for the 20th time. You might have written T-H-E-R-E where you should have written T-H-E-I-R. Trust me, that stuff happens all the time. So do that first, catch those little boo-boos, and then find somebody that you trust and you know cares about you and have them read it, because they will either give you the thumbs up or say, I don't know who this person is that wrote this statement, but maybe you should come back and figure that out. And again, I'm totally happy to read these for you. And sometimes it's even better that I read them because I have a completely unbiased thought of it all, and I'm looking at it from the perspective of a reviewer. So if you want to email me those, I'm totally happy to do it. Okay, then these are the don'ts, and I just have one really big pet peeve on this one. The cliches and the fillers, like leave that stuff out. That's just using extra words you don't need. Some people do think it's important to quote someone famous in a statement, and that's fine, but we want to know what you think. We don't want to know what Yogi Berra or Donald Trump have to say. We want to know what you have to say. And then this one here, number 5. And I say this with all love and respect. I promise on the lives of my husband and my dog, everybody that is reading these personal statements and applications, we know that college is expensive, and we know that a lot of people don't have the resources to pay for this stuff. So writing a beautiful personal statement that ends with, my family does not have the resources to fund me in college, so I really, really need this scholarship. I mean, that's just like, that lets all the air out of the balloon for me, y'all. So, so keep it positive, keep it upbeat, keep the focus on you and the beautiful things that you're gonna do, not the fact that you need a scholarship. Because I'm assuming that most students that are applying aren't just doing this for an ego boost, like y'all need the money, right? So keep your eyes on the prize, my friends. Okay, so Blackbaud Award Management is not the only resource that you have. There's a number of other reputable online sites that can be pretty helpful. I spent an afternoon, like 4 hours one day, playing around on Scholarship Monkey. I had the most fun with this because you can do all kinds of searches and filters. These are all reputable sites that have been mentioned before on other, like, you know, US News and World Report, that kind of stuff. So if you want to go take a peek at these, Google can be your friend if you want to search for demographics that pertain to you. Scholarships for film majors in Los Angeles. When I did this, it yielded over 15 million hits. So you might want to dig down for that. And you want to avoid these scams. If you find a site that is suggesting that you give them a $59 advance fee or a disbursement or redemption fee, then just close that window and go to the next thing. Because from where I sit, you should not have to pay any of your money to get scholarship information. That's a bunch of crap and don't need people taking advantage of you. Okay, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Ramit Sethi. He wrote the book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He's a hugely popular financial blogger, lifestyle blogger, and he's made quite the career out of online courses and online education. When I first was introduced to him, I'm like, this guy is not going to teach me anything about money because he's a snotty millennial student and I'm a very raging Gen Xer. But his book was pretty fascinating. And in the book, he tells a story about his pursuit of college. So mom and dad basically said, look, Ramit, if you want to go to school, you have to get scholarships because we got nothing for you. And he was like, okay, I'm digging in. So he spent 1 to 2 hours every single day in the counseling office looking at scholarship information, applying for things. And he has written blogs about this, like how to be the obvious college scholarship winner. And it's a very fascinating article. And I think my math is, I think this is the wrong figure. I don't think he won $100,000 worth of scholarships. I think he won $200,000 of scholarships. But the homeboy went to Stanford debt-free, y'all. Stanford is a friggin' expensive school. And this guy paid nothing because he got all these scholarships. So take a page out of Ramit's book and really put your effort in this process because you can do anything if you put your mind to it, as Ramit did, the snotty millennial who I've learned so much from. The scholarship committee would scold me for saying this, but scholarships really are free money. You don't ever pay this stuff back. You can use it for whatever you need to use it for. Fees, books, supplies, bus passes, whatever. We had a top Westerbeck scholar in 2014 who took her $5,000 and went and bought a car because that's what she needed to make college easier for her. She didn't buy a very fun car, very nice car, but she bought a working car that got her to and from school. So this is your money, you guys, and you have earned it. And you know how I spoke earlier about this scholarship winner thing following you for a while. You know how they continue to refer to presidents when they're not president anymore, or they refer to heavyweight champions when they're not heavyweight champions anymore? Well, guess what? You're a scholarship recipient once, you're a scholarship recipient forever. So you should hang on to that and share that because that means you're a high achiever and that you really, really care about your education and where you're going with your life. So October 9th is your drop dead date at 11:59 p.m. Everything locks down the following morning. You will hear something from me on or around November 2nd. It might be earlier. It will not be later. I promise you that. And then the virtual event will be on Friday, December the 4th. So we are at the CDC, which unfortunately you can't get to right now. So I will send this PowerPoint to Kevin. He can make it available to you guys. These are all live links. So if you want to do a one-on-one appointment with me through Zoom, I can take these on Calendly. It's filling up, but I'm making more slots available because I'm realizing how important a resource this is for people. And then I'm at KMMC, PEAK, geez, with the mouth today, at Pasadena.edu. If you would like to send me your statement, I'm happy to read it. If you want to ask additional questions, I'm happy to answer them. I will try to open up more of these one-on-one appointments if you feel like you need that. But Kevin, that is essentially all of my material. So if you want to moderate questions or anything anybody wants to ask, I know we're straight up at 12, so. You're muted, my dear.
Hello. Okay, cool.
There you are.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kris. Can we give a round of applause for her, everyone? Or virtual applause?
Good stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm definitely going to look up Ramit's website. I'm a grad student.
His stuff is fascinating. He's really, really neat. And he just moved to Los Angeles. I got an email through his system that said he just moved to LA. I'm like, okay, Ramit, I want to hang out with you.
So yeah, Maddie Brown, she asked if we can use the scholarship money for rent, and if
Yes.
there are any scholarships that are specifically for housing.
Not specifically for housing themselves, but again, like I said, once your balance is clear with PCC, you can use this for anything that you want. So if rent is what you need to cover with your scholarship money, then there you go. And I will also tell you that we have a sponsorship program that is available this year. I normally don't tell students about this, but I will tell you guys. Kevin, you can share this with Olivia if you want. If there are students in your area that are having some significant hardships, like having a really hard time making rent, or have food insecurities, or like equipment needs that can't be met with any other financial aid, then Olivia can refer you to me, and you can fill out the application for a student sponsorship, and we can provide additional money that way. So Kevin, I'll write you back and I'll send you the details about that. Just indicated to me while Maddie was asking about rent that's a resource available to you. I don't want to, I'm advertising it only to like student services professionals, because if I put it out there to students, I'm going to get 5,000 applications and then nobody will get anything because I won't have time to review anything. So if you know of students that have those issues going on, then Olivia can refer them and we can provide additional funding. And it's not like a either or, scholarship or sponsorship. You can do both.
And that's not just for international, right? Domestic can use it too.
Anybody, yeah,
okay, cool.
Not just for international students.
Okay, so yeah, everyone, you can do this.
All of y'all can be sponsored if you have a need and you have a faculty member or a staff member that will refer you, because you have to be referred.
Cool, thank you. All right, any other questions for Kris?
And we're doing another one of these
next week on Tuesday.
Next week, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, Kris.
It is my pleasure. I like doing these. As you can tell, I get rather animated about it, and I love telling my stories. So, and I need to fill up my yoga ball because it's getting really squishy. It's not very comfortable right now. All right, well, y'all know where to find me. I will close this out and send the slides to Kevin straight away, and I'll send you the brochure about the sponsorship. And then, Kevin, I'll see you on Tuesday. And if y'all need me, just let me know. And I got your back, okay?
And would you mind putting your email in the chat as well?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And everyone
Absolutely.
who's here.
Yeah, because all y'all want to email me right now, right? Tell me about this.
So everyone who's here, this will be the recording will be provided, but at the same time, and so this is actually how I'm gonna be able to send it out to you. So I have a survey for all of you to fill out. So just to see like how it went for you, but also to see how we can improve it as well. So yeah, so can you please fill out the survey? It will include your email, and then I'll send out the information to you afterward.
Magnificent.
Yes, Brian, I'll send you the sponsorship information as soon as I get it from Kris.
All right, guys, I'm gonna bug out and go eat some food.
Bye, enjoy your lunch. Thanks, Kris.
See y'all later.
Thanks so much.
Welcome.
Cool. All right, well, thanks for coming, everyone.
Thanks for letting me know about this, Kevin. This is great.
Yeah, glad. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to read that article from Ramit, because I've been really wanting to apply for scholarships, but I just don't know how to. I mean, I have like the same kind of system at USC for the program I'm in, but I don't have much experience applying for scholarships. So I'm excited to get that money.
Yeah, that's super cool. What are you studying at USC again?
I'm getting a master's in educational counseling.
Nice. That's awesome. And that's a pretty expensive school too. So that's super awesome that you're looking into those options.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna head out right now, but yeah, so thank you all for coming. And remember, you can always meet with me. I have drop-in hours. I mean, not right now, but then I'll email you my availability, and you all should be able to make appointments with me like very soon, maybe like within a week or two after some setup. And so it'd be really nice to meet you all individually. So yeah. So
Sounds
thank
good.
you.
Thanks so much, Kevin.